In this design segment, we're going to look at how to incorporate turf into our landscape design. Turf is a great medium for creating those open voids that help to unify a landscape. Turf is wonderful, as you could see in this graphic, to kind of bring all the pieces of the landscape together into one. And there's several areas in a landscape where turf is the ideal choice plant matter. And one of these is in children's play areas or open spaces. It's nice to incorporate spaces if you have kids or pets, an area for them to move around in. Also for outdoor activities that require a large space or other hobbies. We also use turf in service areas. If you want to access a shed or a storage area, you need to have a nice open space to get into that kind of area. Another place where turf is a good choice is to provide that open space for viewing a focal point or some other nice background. And finally, we can use turf on slopes. On a gentle slope, turf is an ideal substrate. It helps stabilize the soil and prevent erosion, such as in this area. In this area, the slope is much steeper, and when you have a very steep slope, turf isn't always a good choice. And one of the reasons is simply from a management standpoint, it can be very dangerous to operate mowing equipment on a steep slope. And so in that situation, you might want to find a different type of ground cover. And in this area, we have several factors that have led to practically bare soil. One of those is the slope combined with heavy shade. Right now we're in the sun, but throughout the majority of the day, this area is in very heavy shade. And there's also a lot of traffic that comes through here. And these factors just wreak havoc on our turf. Any area where you have very heavy traffic, either from people walking or if you have a pet that runs in a small area for a long period of time, you're going to want to find some different substrate to give them something to run on or a different substrate to walk on. Another area where turf isn't always the best choice is in really heavily shaded areas where there's just not enough sunlight for our turf species to prosper. And finally, when you have surface roots, this area has a lot of maple and sweet gum roots, and they're very shallow and run across the surface. So when we mow, either those roots are being damaged or we're just not able to mow very well. So here you'd want to find a different type of ground cover again that would work better with these surface roots. Species selection is important when you're designing your lawn. For sunny areas, there's several different species that work well. Bermuda grass is the most commonly used and certainly does very well throughout Oklahoma. Zoysia grass is another good choice, especially where you have maybe a mixture of light shade into sun. St. Augustine is a good grass for the southeastern part of the state. It works well in shade as well as sun. And it's not as hardy in the more northern and western parts of the state, but for the southeast it does pretty well. And finally, for sunny areas, we have buffalo grass, which is a native grass, and it's gaining popularity for use in the lawn. In our lightly shaded areas, we want to turn to a fescue, a tall fescue, or more preferably a tall fescue Kentucky bluegrass mix. And the reason for using the mix is that the Kentucky bluegrass is more tolerant of certain diseases than the tall fescue. We can also use zoysia grass in light shade, and again, St. Augustine in the southeast part of the state. Well, I want to finish up with a few tips on using turf in the landscape. One of these is to make sure that you mulch around your trees to avoid damaging the trunk, and also avoid leaving very narrow strips of turf between different elements in the landscape. It just makes mowing a challenge. And finally, you want to have a clear border between turf areas and ornamental barriers. And the reason for this is, one, just from an aesthetic standpoint, but also a management standpoint. Here you can see there's some monkey grass underneath, but the grass, there's no edging, and the grass has just crawled right into the ornamental bed. Turf is as important in our landscape design as our ornamental plants. So when you're planning the landscape, be sure to plan for turf as well.